Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Tone's Market Analysis for, what's today? Wednesday, February 1st. Wow, so January's over. All right, let's just jump into it. I've just been so busy, haven't updated my blog at all. It's still sitting on CryptoScam number 1. We're now up to CryptoScam number 3. 2 and 3 have been released. I'm getting some interesting comments about number 3, so if you haven't seen that yet, definitely check it out. It's also on SoundCloud, and once I find the time, I will try to figure out how to get it into iTunes. I also had a bunch of new equipment come in. I had a webcam now. I have some field mics. I have a tripod. So when I do these things on location in the future, they should come out better and cleaner. I'm also learning how to do audio and clean up background noise. I'm learning how to do video. And this stuff takes a lot of time. It's not easy if you haven't done it before. So, which is why you see me get very snappy at people in the comments when they just say like the audio sucks. Meanwhile, I spent like 8 hours trying to get it to be that good because it was a lot worse 8 hours earlier. So that's one of the reasons why I've been getting snappy at that one. You know what? I'll talk about it after. I don't want to spend too much time. I want to jump right into the markets and just taking a glance at the futures. Looks like gold is up a little bit now that the market's closed. The S&P was fairly flat today after falling most of the day. It opened kind of high. It opened high because of Apple. Apple beat earnings, so it went up a lot. I mean, Apple. You might say, oh, a $10 move in Apple, but Apple has a giant market cap. Apple has a huge chunk of the NASDAQ, and I think it's listed as it's not even listed as a tech company. I think it's listed as a like a merchandise company or something like that. It's weird, or a retail company. It's weird. Anyway, let's just jump right into the S&P. I'm going to keep trying to do these a little bit faster. So again, you get fooled a little bit here where it starts to go down and you think there's going to be a bigger pullback, then it comes back to flat. Has this little these two huge up days on Trump's inauguration, and then straight down. But now it looks like we're rebounding back up a little bit. So the daily isn't really telling me much. I throw a numerical indicator on this. Again, not really telling me much. So let's just jump right into the weekly. So on the weekly, yeah, we've had a couple of bad days, as you can see in the daily right here. But on a weekly, there is nothing. It's a potential candlestick reversal pattern known as a bearish harami. That's not really the candle pattern I look for. I love my hammers that you can see here circled in green and here circled in green. And I really like my dojis and shooting stars, but this one did not materialize. So I don't think this is much to worry about. Apple reported great earnings after Google reported. Google was split. Google beat on revenue and it missed earnings per share. Apple beat across the board. Facebook reported tonight. It beat across the board. And Amazon reports tomorrow. So if Amazon beats across the board, again, that's very, very positive news for the stock market. Here's the Dow. Again, not really much to see here. We have an 11. I'm waiting for that 13, and maybe we'll have a pullback. There's really nothing here. We're back in this middle zone. Clearly, I have no position in the stock market. I'm not long. I'm not short. Let's just jump right into oil, and I'll talk about gold after. I talked a little bit extensively about oil last video, and you start to fall asleep when you have this annoying no trade. I circled this last time, and that's exactly what we're dealing with right now. I should probably put another circle on this, but that's why there's a circle back here. We're dealing with it again. I'm expecting a breakout to the upside, and but long-term prospects for oil are not good. All right, let me close these guys because we don't need them anymore. And let me open the next set of tabs, which is going to be gold. So while that's opening, I gotta talk about this. This actually took a very long time to put together, and I am going to show it on my blog. This was inspired by listening to Adam Meister's interview with Andy Hoffman, and I'm behind. I got to catch up on Adam's videos. He mentions me quite often, so I do watch his videos as well. They're pretty good. And Andy Hoffman said something in that video that I wanted to take a look at graphically. And Andy Hoffman is a big gold bug. And he said he got into gold in 2002. And that was interesting to me. So I went and I just plotted the history of gold versus the history of S&P 500 in the background. And I wanted to take a look. And when I pulled up, and I didn't know this, I was going to see this. But when I just looked at this chart the way you guys are looking at it right now, a couple of things jumped out at me. And that's, I just immediately noticed how the current downtrend in gold from the high, and by the way, the reason why it looks like the high in gold back in 1980 was here at 700, but my my bullish zone is all the way up to 850, is because these are month-end closes. And the best month close gold had back in the 80s was at 700, but the daily close or even the intraday high was in the 850 area. So same thing here. The month-end close was only 1830, but the intraday was in the 1920 something area, 1923, I believe. That's why these zones go a little bit higher. But what I noticed is this fractal symmetry of how a bubble pops. And the way the bubble popped in gold back in the 80s, it had this immediate secondary high, and then it fell for almost 30 months, made a low, and then came back and made a pretty sufficient high. So this time around, we were falling for 50 months. And then we again came back and made the high, which is why I wrote it right here. We are here. We are coming off this secondary high. Now, of course, gold doesn't have to work out this way, and it probably won't. But I just found it very, very interesting of how similar the movement of gold has been. And even this move on the way up in gold in 2008, 2009, when gold had this crash, if you go back to 1978 with gold having this exponential rise from 76 up to 1980, in 78 you have this, again, this monster fast spike. It's smaller than this one, but the shape is identical. So I just found this really, really interesting. There's also a lot of other notes. The link to this chart is already in my description to the video. I also published it on TradingView. I also have this note of Doug Casey, who maybe some of you watch. He has a lot of great interviews. I like Doug Casey a lot, but he could not have been more wrong in 1983, calling for gold to go to 2000, which it still hasn't until today. And I don't mind people being wrong. I'm wrong all the time, but I will admit it. And eventually, I'm not gonna look. If I say Bitcoin to 3,000, and in 20 years, if Bitcoin still hasn't gone to 3,000, if I say 3,000, I'm gonna admit that I'm wrong on Bitcoin way before 30 years are up, and it's been 35 years. I made a mistake in my description here. I said it's been 25 years. It's been 35 years, right? So you make a call, and to this day, you're still preaching how gold is a great asset. I mean, at some point, you have to admit that it's not. And over here, I just plotted returns of what would your $100 be today if you had invested it in the S&P 500 or you invested it in gold. But the interesting thing is the graph here talks about, shows you the S&P 500 without dividends reinvested. If you reinvest the dividends, the number is always significantly higher. And well, the further back you go, the more significantly higher it is. And it's also known as the total return S&P 500. Unfortunately, TradingView didn't have one to graph, but if it had one to graph, this would be at around like 7,000. So I mean, this graph would be unreasonably skewed, and it so happens that this period here, where Andy Hoffman bought in and Peter Schiff bought in, this is the 1999 until 2002. This period, this was actually the only period in gold where, from that period on till today, the returns of gold have beaten the total returns of the S&P 500. And we'll see how long that lasts. I do expect gold to continue to go down for at least a little while. And I expect the S&P 500 to go up further. And at that point, S&P 500 would always be a better investment than gold. But that's also because you need your money to work for you. But we're not going to get into it here. But this is a real dynamic, and I know it's hard to believe, and people have a very hard time believing it. But just keep it in mind, and you can see the table right here of what your money would have done. Now, you can say that, you know, it's a devalued dollar and it's worthless, but it's not, because you use it every day. Okay, so the next, this should have all loaded by now, I hope. Okay, excellent. All right, so I hope I didn't spend too much time on that, but I think gold is important, and I'm not saying gold is a bad investment. I mean, if you see, you need to treat gold like any other commodity. You shouldn't treat gold any different than copper. If you don't, I mean, if you can trade copper profitably, but you're not going to hold copper for 30 years. So you got to treat gold the same way. I know it sounds insane, because gold's been money for so long, but I think that technology has evolved, and people have evolved a lot from using value. I think your cell phone minutes are more valuable. So like the people in Africa are doing something right by treating cell phone minutes as more valuable than commodities for their currency. All right, so I zoomed out my daily view of gold a little bit. So I was going to throw some Fibonacci's on here. Let's just throw a Fibonacci on here real quick and see what we get. So if I start here at the low and I bring it up to the high, okay. Oh, by the way, I no longer have this short position on gold. That's been taken off the table. I think I got out break even or with a very small profit when it started to go up, or on this candle down. But I changed my stop losses, and that was done. It's unfortunate because I had my my actual exit just like $5 lower than the low that it hit, and that happens. I mean, when you're a trader. This is why I stick to direction neutral trading, because other people are better at, you know, directional trading than me, and when to enter, when to exit. But you know what? Do I see anything in the indicator? No, there's nothing there. Okay, so now let me zoom in a little bit. Remember to zoom out later. Okay, so it's interesting how on this rebound, had I drawn this earlier, this might have been my Q. It's also a very good-looking reversal candle. It's a hammer. I mean, there were plenty of signs for me to exit my position right here. And if I had a serious position, on gold, I probably would have exited, but this was a small position, and I wanted to see the 50-day moving average get hit, so I got greedy. But we stopped right there at the Fibonacci line. So now if I add one more Fibonacci, and I do like Fibonacci's. Oh, I didn't want the extension in there, but that's okay. So if we stick this Fibonacci in there, we've broken out, we're going back here. Gold's probably going higher. And well, gold will probably go to like 240, 250, right? And if you look at this here, I mean, again, I was just drawing this for fun. There's no reason why gold can't hit, let's say, 1280, 1275, as long as gold stays below this peak, which to me is this peak of 1982 or 1983, January 1983. As long as gold stays below this peak, it's still in its downtrend, and I will be still looking for gold to make new lows. All right, this is my weekly chart. Oh, you know what? Hold on one second, guys. All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. Had to let somebody in the house. And okay, so here's the weekly chart of gold, and we're at this 50 Fibonacci. We're probably going to break it. We're going to go into this moving average cluster. That should probably be it. We could throw a quick trend line from here to here. Yeah, we might hit it. Let me make it this and then make it this. Do that. And should probably drop the arrow. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. But as long as we stay below, just that a little. Yeah, it looks like that trend line's relevant. As long as we stay under this trend line, I mean, the bear market is going to continue. Okay, US dollar. This will be really quick. I'm still bullish on the US dollar. I know it's been going down a little bit. This is just a temporary pullback. I think the dollar is going to do insanely well, which is going to cause a lot of the US problems. The euro, I'm happy I did not take on this short euro trade because I really wanted to. I think euro is going to completely collapse, but has a little life in it left, maybe to the 50-day moving average. The British pound, I've been way more bullish the British pound than the euro, so the British pound should go up even more. That's the weekly chart. The euro pound chart, which is my reverse head and shoulders, the trade that still bothers me, as I'm just being OCD here. I know it's not going to go down this fast, but I just wanted it, nice and parallel with the shoulder. We're still inside the right shoulder. If only I would have drawn this and then entered my short position, this would have been very good. Instead, this is exactly the price I entered my short position the first time. It would be smart to enter it again. So I don't know, maybe I'll do it. I'll think about it. And finally, before we get to Bitcoin, which I know everybody wants me to talk about Bitcoin and not even talk about any of this, but I'm still, trying to branch my world outside of Bitcoin. We have the Canadian dollar. I will be in Canada on Monday, which is why I'm paying attention to the Canadian dollar. and it looks like it's back down to 130. There's really nothing stopping it. It's back below its 50-week moving average, and it'll probably go strengthen a little bit more against it. So let me can start closing all of these. You know what? I'm gonna open Bitcoin. We'll do this. We'll do this. Start closing these guys. Get rid of that. And I just want to briefly mention I'll be in Toronto. As you can see, 339 people have already signed up for the meetup. And if people are like me that never sign up for anything and just show up, expect to see like 400. They might actually. Oh, Ethan's going to be there. Cool. Didn't know he was in Toronto. But I'm speaking. Peter Todd is speaking. That was an accident. Didn't mean to click on him. But yeah, it should be really, really good. So if you are near Toronto, definitely come out. All right, where's my next tab? All right, here we go, Bitcoin. Oh, if you guys have questions for the live viewers, then just write them in. I'll take a look. Try to start with the word question. Here's the weekly chart on Bitstamp. We have 988, and those that have been watching me and talking, I've been talking about this Fibonacci line at 915, and I said the moment we start to break above 915, we're going straight to all-time highs, which is why I've been bullish Bitcoin lately. I've been very bullish Bitcoin. People used to make fun of me that I always used to be bearish, but I was waiting for these kinds of conditions, and this is what I was waiting for. I was also bullish coming out of this triangle here, very bullish. And it's the same thing. We came up short of the top of this channel. I see no reason why we can't go straight to the top of this channel for Bitcoin to be 1,500 in a few months. I think that is, I think that's very, very possible. And there's several reasons for that, which I'll probably get into in a minute. But so this is looking good. I mean, I don't see any issues. Here's the Breakout Coin Liquid Index. And oh, it updated. Great. It updates at 8 p.m. Perfect. So today's candle is updated. That's perfect. Now I know when to start these videos. I'll start them at like, so I can get to this part at exactly 8 p.m. Though I know it's kind of late for people in the UK. Sorry about that. I like this for the volume so that if there's a volume spike, I can see it, even though the volume is generally kind of small. And it aggregates volume across like 10 exchanges. And we're staying above the 50-day, breached it for a minute. Nothing really to worry about. Staying above the 200, which is moving up. I don't see any problems. Like nothing. Where RSI is not overbought. The MACD is way lower than the previous top. Good. Nothing to worry about. Here's the hourly. I would draw some kind of a pattern, but I don't see one. So there's absolutely nothing for me to draw. I guess we can maybe draw a trend line and like a minor channel, but I don't even want to do that really. We can maybe zoom in. Not really sure what to look for here. Yeah, I mean there's can draw a little channel. Let's try that. What is my channel? Parallel channel, right? So if we take this point of the breakout, take a middle point, and then we'll get a best fit. So there you go. All right, there's your channel. All right, so that's what we're looking for. And this is an hourly. So it's fairly steep. So let's see how long we can keep it going. Should probably extend it a little bit. It's really hard to extend these things because it's an exponential and gets messy. All right, there you go. It's extended back to near all-time highs. Let's see how long we stay in the channel. It's a pretty damn steep channel too, so. Find out. Find out relatively soon. Next time I do the video will be, next time I do the video might actually be, that's a good question. I'm not sure I want to do the video because I'll be in Toronto, and then I fly back from Toronto Wednesday night, and then Thursday night I may be attending a Bitcoin event in the city. So I may have to do one of these in the afternoon or something. Okay, so on that note, I am done, and I don't know. For some reason, I like daily. I don't like looking at hourly. This is my chart that I do in all my presentations, so might as well put it here. All right. Q&A. I'm not going to spend too much time, but let me see what questions you guys have. We got about 45 live viewers right now. Why don't the miners want SegWit yet? That's a good question. I get this question a lot. I have no idea. I've never been a miner. I don't really know personally too many miners. My best guess, and these are pure guesses, the miners don't want SegWit, first of all, because a lot of miners are lazy and they don't really want to update software. I would still be using Windows XT if I could. I hate updates. So a lot of them, it's a software update issue. For other I mean, look, the propaganda against Bitcoin Core and Blockstream and SegWit, the propaganda against it is big. It is big, and you all know which people were kind of blaming for it. So there's been a big media effort to demonize SegWit, but the miners will do it. I know they'll do it, right? Especially like people are looking at Litecoin. People watched my CryptoScam part 3, and they really everyone got mad at Junsef, and people thought that I had the right position. The thing is, I only gave Litecoin a 3 to 5% chance of survival. So if that is investment advice in Litecoin to people, you really did not get the right message. I still don't see a future for Litecoin. And if Litecoin adopts SegWit, that only tells the Bitcoin miners that they need to, get their shit together and adopt SegWit, right? You can't have Litecoin using it and Bitcoin not using it. And they are going to adopt SegWit because its code has been thoroughly tested. It solves transaction malleability, which is a big problem, and it frees up space inside the 1 megabyte block for more transactions. And it also allows Lightning Network to build on top of it, because Lightning Network can't function unless transaction malleability is fixed. So everything is dependent on SegWit, and I believe SegWit will get in because there's no reason for it not to. Another reason why miners may not want SegWit is because they are afraid that there was something silly, stupid in the code, like Bitcoin Unlimited did, and commented out a line of code that they should not have, and that's why they ended up losing 13 Bitcoin that they mined. So some miners might think that, well, what if it hasn't been tested enough yet, and then they can lose out on revenue. So those are just some reasons. Look, consensus takes time. That's what makes Bitcoin valuable, and it'll get in sooner or later. How did shorting gold work out for me? Well, Well, I showed you the graph, right? I mean, I was up nicely in that position, and it didn't work out. And I left that trade break even or with a slight profit on the way up because it didn't reach my target. Again, I'm not. I never said I was a great directional trader, but long term, my projection on gold that it hasn't bottomed yet, and in the last 2 years at Acapulco, Mexico, I've been standing on stage and telling people that the next year you're better off shorting gold and going long equities. And I've been right for 2 years in a row when most people tell them the complete opposite. So yeah, if you shorted gold at the beginning of the year and you went long S&P 500 in the beginning of the year of 2016, you did very well that year. Did way better than buying gold. I already have a question about the dollar. If you saw this video 15 minutes ago, you would have shown me showing the chart, the historical chart of the dollar, and the dollar is almost as strong as it's ever been. So an assumption that the dollar is going to weaken over the medium term is just a guess. It's a 50-50 guess. And the chart is telling me that the dollar is going to go stronger, way stronger. I think the dollar has a minimum of a 20% increase to go. So if the dollar goes up 20%, by default, gold should drop at least 20%. And my longer term view for gold is a good buy is at 900 and a great buy is at 700. That's actually exactly the same numbers I was talking about in Bitcoin. Like when Bitcoin started to crash right here. Let me go to the hourly chart, actually. When Bitcoin started to crash over here, this is the 900, and right around this area, people were asking me if Bitcoin has bottomed and it's a buy here and before actually. And I said, well, 900 is a decent buy. It's a fairly safe buy, but 760 would be an amazing buy. And you can go back to those videos. Just go back to this time period, and that you hear me say it on video. There's I've said it over Twitter, and my view is the same for gold. Like when gold drops from the current 1200 area, 900 I believe will be a good buy, and 700 would be a great buy. And my opinion is that it will go below 1,000, but I can be wrong. I'm not again, I don't have a crystal ball. I just read the charts and try to put fundamentals into it, and I don't see any fundamentals in gold at the moment. What's my preferred method of storing my private keys? If I give too much information, then I become a target. I never store them with third parties, so I also don't store them on my Windows computers. I think that's unsafe. So what you want to do is you want to get a Trezor, or you want to use phone wallets, and my favorite of those is Airbits. And I'm the only one that knows the private key. So if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, all of you become I don't have that much Bitcoin, but if I get hit by a bus, that means Bitcoin leaves circulation permanently because no one else will. Because it's not going to go anywhere. What are the chances that the infighting in the Bitcoin space could bring about a complete downfall? The chances are small because Bitcoin will work if the code is frozen in time, and there will always be volunteers willing to work on the Bitcoin code. I mean, hell, if someone said earlier in the chat that Adam Draper bought another 30,000 Bitcoin, well, he's very invested now, right? Roger Ver is very invested now. He has been. So I mean, if this infighting forks Bitcoin, then those with the Bitcoin, they're going to be like the king, right? This is my view on proof of stake models. The king is the richest man, usually, and it's in his best interest to keep the people happy, or he's not going to be rich anymore. He won't be able to collect the taxes. The US government works the same way, right? They have to keep the people relatively happy, because if they're not happy, they stop paying taxes, and then you have to print. Zimbabwe learned that, right? You keep the people happy, or you take away people's property, hand it to poor people, and no one trusts your government anymore, and you have to print, causing hyperinflation. So this infighting, if the parties with the money take over, then it's in their best interest to preserve Bitcoin, and they will try to do their best job. But if there's all these bugs, like for example, I don't use blockchain debt info wallet because the bugs in that wallet cost me money, so I never use it again. I don't care if they overhaul the whole company, blockchain debt info. I will never use that wallet again. But that's because I have alternatives. If there were no other wallets, I would have to use blockchain debt info. I don't have a choice, or I have to leave Bitcoin. So if all this infighting does cause a fork, something's gonna be left behind. Even if Bitcoin forks, either one of those two forks is probably a better choice than an altcoin, in my opinion. Is there any chance it could break out of the top side of your channel? Are we talking about this channel? Break out of the top? Yeah, of course. There's a 50-50 shot whether it's going to break up this way and create a steeper channel, or it's going to break down. And if we're talking about the daily channel, is it going to break up above this channel? This is a pretty steep channel, guys. I highly doubt it. It's going to exponentially break above this channel. The only thing that would cause this break, in my opinion, is sorry about that, guys. The only thing that would cause this break of the channel, you see this exponential rise right there? The exponential rise happened in like October, November. This exponential rise came from this Mike Hearn crash. And this created a very pessimistic environment. And I was part of it, where I thought that maybe Bitcoin is not, I didn't think it wasn't the future, but I didn't really know. I got a little nervous here. This is like the Bitcoin XT stuff, and I think, or that might have been earlier. I don't remember anymore. But and then it caused this, it's going up, and then there was Triple M stuff and some of the other things. But this is one of those things where the market crashes, like the Brexit, or right before Trump won. Like the market crashes, and then it goes up, and then you get left behind. Martin Armstrong refers to this phenomena as a slingshot. Like you go one way, you remove all the bulls, and then it goes up, and the bulls are scared to get back in. And the same thing happens in reverse. So, and this here was the preparation for the halving, speculative preparation for the halving. So the only thing that I can see that will bring it above this channel is the speculative preparation for SegWit, just like speculative preparation for the halving. But in order for that to happen, the speculative community needs to have an opinion that SegWit is an eventuality. And again, SegWit doesn't have to be at 90%. SegWit can move from 30% support up to 45 or 50% support. And if it moves that much in a fairly short amount of time, it would signal to the speculators, and I'll be talking about it, that you want to buy, you want to beat the crowd, and everyone tries to beat the crowd. It goes out of control, and then when the event happens, there's nobody left to buy, and then it crashes, kind of like this with the halving, the pre-halving event. All right. All right. Let me see if there's any other questions. SegWit signal percentage is reducing. Could not pass 30% of the miners. So unsuccessful already. Bitcoin success is independent of SegWit. Yeah, I generally, yeah, Bitcoin success is, it could be independent of SegWit, but it would be nice to get SegWit. And I still think that SegWit will pass. Paper wallets are good, maybe. I've never used one. I'm not a, I don't know. I'm afraid I'm gonna, the paper's gonna catch fire or something. Bitcoin ETF is not happening. If it is happening, it means there's too many stupid people. Just go to my blog, put in ETF, and plenty of videos and comments. This morning, somebody sent me a video. I think there's like a Bitcoin IRA. Some company is offering, is buying Bitcoin and offering their clients IRA. I think that's incredibly dumb. If I had free time, I would have reached out to the guy, got him on the interview, and I would have explained it to him how their financial product is incredibly stupid, but it's okay. I mean, they're making money, so they'll learn the hard way when the SEC eventually, when they eventually screw up, and they will, because everyone screws up in Bitcoin. You have no idea how many people connect with me on LinkedIn. There are blockchain consultants. I've never heard of these people, and I can't help but laugh because it's ridiculous. Okay, let me read a couple more questions. If you want to know more about Bitcoin Unlimited, I recommend following Whale Panda on Twitter. He probably has the most information. That's at least my go-to following account. I haven't really kept up with Bitcoin Unlimited. To me, Bitcoin Unlimited is another altcoin, so it's I don't really care for it. All right, guys. On that note, I will call it a night. Actually cutting these things down a little bit. This one was still close to 45 minutes, but that's okay. And I'll see you all mid next week. Hopefully, I'll see some of you in Toronto. Not sure. Oh, wait, I'll be doing this on Sunday. What am I saying? The next video will be on Sunday, but then next week, I don't know. But Sunday is also the Super Bowl, so I'll see. I might have to do it earlier in the day. All right, guys. See you all next time.